What is going on, guys? Matt O'Leary back with another video, and in today's video we are going to break down and preview the New York Jets going up against the Cleveland Browns on Thursday Night Football, the last primetime game of the year. The Jets have been on primetime a lot this season. Unfortunately, it was expected to be with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, but now it's, well, the end of the year. The Jets are 6-9 and going on the road to face an incredibly tough defense. So we'll break it down. All right, here's what you need to know about this game. The New York Jets head in with a 6-9 record, the 32nd offense in offensive DVOA, and the third defense in defensive DVOA. Looking at the Cleveland Browns, who are 10-5, a surprising 10-5. I think everyone thought that they would have a good roster, but with the number of injuries they've had to the quarterback position, the 10-5 record is extremely surprising. Now, their offense 27th in offensive DVOA. On the defensive side of the ball, first. So we have two elite defenses going up against each other on Thursday Night Football. I wouldn't expect to see a lot of points, but hey, it's the NFL. Weird stuff happens. Sometimes you could see points when you're not expecting it, but as I'm going to project this one and give my preview and expectations, I don't expect either team to score a ton of points. I know I said that last week, and I was wrong, as there's a 30 to 28 game, and maybe that's how this one's going to end up going. But with these two defenses, I would find it hard to believe that either team is reaching 20 points. All right. Big storyline from this game. Joe Flacco, starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. 4 starts now under his belt. They picked him up off the couch. They put him in. He is 3-1 as a starter. He has 10 passing touchdowns in 4 starts. He also has 7 interceptions over that time. He's been a little bit prone to the turnover, but has thrown significantly more touchdowns than interceptions and has won more games than he's lost in 3-1. He has an 85.1 passer rating over those 4 games, and he's gone over 300 yards passing in 3 straight games. They throw the crap out of the ball. The Cleveland Browns, it seems like all they do is just drop Joe Flacco back. He throws up a prayer to either David Njoku or Amari Cooper, and guess what? More often than not, it's really worked, and he's done a good job. So that's been a big story because he spent the last 3 years with the Jets. He's had 1 start in 2021, had 3 or 4, I guess, last year, and had a handful of starts in 2020 as well. But, you know, different kind of circumstances. I think if the Jets were to sign him, I wouldn't expect I wouldn't expect him to replicate those numbers necessarily, because he was on the Jets last year and looked not great. I mean, yes, there was the Cleveland game where he looked pretty, that was by far his best one. Kind of looked like he was going through the motions against Cincinnati. Looked like he was going through the motions the final game of the year, but good for him. 3-1 and 10 passing touchdowns in 4 games. As for Trevor Siemian, he's coming off a not so great performance. They won the game, and he threw for a passing touchdown, which was good, but 27 of 49 and had only 217 yards on 49 passing attempts. So the yards per attempt was pretty low. 1 touchdown, an interception, lost a fumble, 64.8 passer rating against the worst defense in the NFL. Now, as I said, the Browns are about the polar opposite of the Washington Commanders. So when you look at how they are at getting pressure on the quarterback and disrupting the passer, I think this is a really bad matchup for the Jets, and specifically Trevor Siemian, who isn't a very mobile quarterback. The Browns are 9th in the league in sacks and 6th in the league in pressure percentage. And with the Jets' banged up offensive line, granted, they played a little bit better this past week. Were they great? No, they weren't great. You still had, unfortunately, Mekhi Becton had, I believe it was 3 penalties in the game. He's had a real rough go of it. But moral of the story, the offensive line was okay, all things considered and relative to expectations. This week, I don't see it. I'm sorry, I really don't see it this week. I think they are going to struggle. This is the kind of unit that they would struggle against, and have Myles Garrett screaming off the edge. not great. I mean, the last time Trevor Siemian started for the New York Jets against the Cleveland Browns, Week 2, 2019, and he got knocked out of the game by Myles Garrett. Would it surprise me if we see Brett Rippon in this game, either due to injury or ineffectiveness from Trevor Siemian? No, not at all, which is, I guess, kind of ironic because, granted, with two different starting quarterbacks, but the Jets have scored 30 points in 2 of their last 3 games, but the problem is there's a 0 in between. So the 60 points in 3 games, it's really a 20-point average over the last 3 weeks, but there was a whopping 0 in there in the middle. And I think we're in, unfortunately, for the New York Jets for a long, long night on offense. I don't really see them having much success against this Cleveland Browns defense. As for the stat numbers, I'll give you a couple predictions. I'll do both quarterbacks and a receiver as well in this game. Trevor Siemian, what can we expect from him? I'll go like 18 of 35, which is a 51.4 completion percentage, 177 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, 42.2 passer rating. He's had 2 or more turnovers every time we've seen him. Fumbles have been an issue for Trevor Siemian. In the Miami game, he was kind of throwing those long passes that ended up being like punts, which, again, not the worst thing in the world, like whatever at that point. But I think we're going to get an ugly one on offense, unfortunately. I would love to be wrong, I guess. I don't want to sit through just a terribly boring game, but I don't have much faith in Siemian as a pocket passer who's not very mobile against a really, really good Jim Schwartz defense. As for Joe Flacco, is he going to come out and ball against the Jets? I don't really see that either. I get it. He's had 3 straight games over 300 yards. I don't think Joe Flacco is going over 300 against this defense. I'll go 24 of 40. Like I said, they throw a lot, so even if they're winning, I think we still might see upper 30s to low 40s in passing attempts for Flacco, which is a 60% completion, 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, a 72.9 passer rating there. And I'll give you Garrett Wilson. How about 8 catches, 81 yards? They've been peppering Garrett Wilson with targets. I would love for that. Like, the only not the only thing, but one of the big things I'm looking for is something that we saw in the last game against the Washington Commanders. Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall were phenomenal, and those are your 2 young building blocks on the offensive side of the football. So continue to watch there and see what they do in this game, and I think they're going to heavily feature Garrett Wilson. So, all right, it's time for my score and final predictions for this one, picks against the spread. I was on Washington +3, so they lost but covered, and so was Casey. So 5-9-1 versus 7-7-1. I'm going to take the Browns -7 here. I think they win an ugly 16-6 kind of game. I don't think either team scores a ton of points in this one. I think the Browns have a better chance of scoring. I think they get in the end zone once, settle for 3 field goals outside of that. And for the New York Jets, I'm going to say a couple of field goals here. In this one, let's see who Casey likes. Casey is on the road, and New York Jets getting 7 points. So who knows? Maybe the Jets keep it close or pull an upset win. And then we could debate again for another week if it was a good thing or a bad thing if the New York Jets won that game. So let me know your thoughts on this contest down below in the comments. Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.